Hi everybody, I'm Trin Johnson and welcome to Dust in My Eye. World Watercolor Month ended yesterday and I thought it would be fun to do a tour of my sketchbook. So let's get started. I have this Hanamula sketchbook. I got it in Chile because that's where I was when World Watercolor Month started. Last year I was in Canada when World Watercolor Month started. I never think ahead. I always end up running to the store somewhere near me and finding the best thing I can find to use. I like to work in small, although I have to say I was getting a little frustrated with working really small. And this paper is not cotton at all, and it started to drive me a little bit crazy by the end because I'm used to working on cotton paper. But this is what it is. It's a watercolor book, cold pressed, 200 pound. It's A6 size. Which is 5.8 by 4.1 inches. It's got 60 pages in it, so I did one per page, and then I glued in one page at the end to get that extra day, and that worked nicely. It's not bad paper. It just isn't my favorite. So I was starting to get a little tired of trying to work with it. But we're just going to do a quick little run through. The first prompt was sunlit, and we have a place where we go to art camp, and the sun was shining so beautifully through the trees last summer when I took this photo. So that's what I used for my inspiration for this prompt, which is sunlit. And the next prompt was diversion. And when I thought of diversion, I thought of the movie, I think it's Up, where with the squirrel and the dog. It's like squirrel. So I'm sure you all know squirrel. That's where my brain went. So we had been doing some plein air a couple of years ago at our local metro park, and there was a nest of squirrels. So there were 3 little baby squirrels running around and laying on the branches up in the tree above us. So that's where that photo reference came from. This next one is raspberry. That was the next prompt. And I had some really pretty bright raspberry pink flowers. Problem is that when I painted it in Chile, because I was still in Chile, I did not have my opera pink paint with me, and it really needed that opera pink to really get the color I wanted. So when I got home, I did a little tweaking because I just didn't have that paint, and my husband didn't have it either in his travel palette, so he was just no help there. This one is Burst, and I thought these flowers, I took this picture of these flowers and they were just bursting out, I thought, like fireworks. I can't remember where I took this picture. If it was Stony or Mackinac or Canada, I don't remember. But anyway, it was a cool picture. Now, the next one was Startle. And I kept thinking of how when you're walking down the beach and all the seagulls are all standing around, and then they just all startle and they jump up and fly off, and then they settle back down as soon as you go past. That was where the inspiration for this came. So I went looking for a reference for that, and I think I either found it on Pexels or Pixabay. I think it might have been Pexels. I see my green leaked a little bit from another day. I'll have to get in there with some water and get that off. But anyway, okay, the next one was flavor. And the first day, I believe, we were in Chile, we went to this restaurant and got this like tapas kind of plate with avocados and tomatoes and cabbage and hummus and pita bread and all sorts of olives. I think there were olives in it. It was really good. So that's what I took a picture of it, and that's what I painted for flavor. The next days was lemon. We're on July 7th, and there are no lemon trees in Michigan. that I'm aware of anyway. None like outside. And we were still in Chile, so there was a lemon tree right outside our window. So I went ahead and, no, you know what? We weren't in Chile, but I took the photo outside our window because we came back before that. We were a couple days back. So that's where I got my inspiration from. The photo was from Chile, but I was no longer there. A lot of these are pictures from Chile. This was Mechanism, and this, yes, was a door in Chile. We took a lot of pictures of doors because there was a lot of really cool doors. We were in Santiago, and there's a lot of old doors that painted bright colors and things with cool hardware on them. So that's where that one came from. Then we have Vegetation. Before we went to Chile, we went to California to my niece's wedding, and we went up to a winery up the mountain around San Jose, and that's what this is a painting of. This one is gouache. I did a little change pace there, and I thought that a lot of different kinds of vegetation. So now we're on July 10th, and clutter. There's a lot of clutter in my house. There is usually a cat somewhere sitting in the clutter in my house. We have quite a few. And so that was where this inspiration came from, just a pen and ink sketch. It's my son's cat that we have living with us now. Now, this is probably my least favorite spread in well, it's not really spread, is it? It's a single sheet in this sketchbook. The word was element, and I was thinking copper is an element. And there's this big copper distillery. I'm not sure what I can't remember what they exactly are called. This was at the Jameson's factory in Dublin, which we were at a few years back. And I had a picture of it, a photo of it, but my photo only had this in it. And I was doing everything landscape. So then I found other pictures online to see what was behind over here, what kind of thing went on over there, and what kind of thing was over here. And they were all from different perspectives. They weren't from the same perspective as mine was. So I was trying to piece it all together. And in the end, I think my problem is I did not include the people that were sitting here, and I probably should have, because this thing is huge. And I don't think you get that from this. So I think that would have benefited it. But anyway, it's element, and it's there, and it's a memory for me. Now, otherworldly, the day that this prompt came out was the day that they had new photographs from the telescope, the camera telescope thing out in space that I could tell you the name of if I could remember it, but it just seemed too perfect. So I went ahead and painted my rendition of kind of what that thing saw, what the pictures they got sent back. So that's what that is. Now we're on the 13th, and that was Valuable. And this was a shot I took at our cottage on Lake Huron. And nothing is more valuable to me than that place. It's just the best place in the world. And so that's why I painted that. I guess I could have painted people, but the cottage one. Now, aubergine. I was trying to not paint an eggplant. So I went through all my pictures to find things that were purple. And this is the same place that the very first one was, back here. It's this place. This is the lake right by there. It's Lake Charlevoix. And there's a little rock, stacked rocks down by the water, and the sun was setting beautifully, and it was just, everything was kind of a purpley shade, and I thought, well, that makes a good aubergine. So that's what that is. Now we have spacious. And I was trying to find any of my reference photos that had big, wide open spaces, and I have actually a file folder for that. So I found a reference photo, and this is July 15th, and I was playing with my new brush. I got a new Lebizon, something like that brush, and that's what I was using for the trees in here. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. The next one is recycle, and I make monsters out of old sweaters. I repurpose them, recycle them, I shrink them, felt them, and make these monsters from this big to like 12 inches. Sometimes they're even bigger than that. And I had made this monster and stuffed him when we were up in northern part of the Lower Peninsula in Michigan. And I took him out in the woods for a photo shoot. And so I had this picture, and I thought that would be a fun picture to paint of Dino. That's Dino. They all have names. So now we're on distant. And distant, this was a picture I took in Ireland. We were going to Cliffs of Moher, and we were driving from this little town called Doolin, and we were driving from our Airbnb, and we could see off in the distance what, as it turned out, was the Cliffs of Moher. I did not realize that till afterwards, that I had a picture with them in it in the distance. So I thought that was a good one. That was the 17th. Now we're on the 18th. Where we stayed in Chile, you could look out the window and see the Andes. When the fog would lift, all of a sudden there was a whole other mountain range behind the one that you could see. It was very, very cool. And we happened to get very lucky, and the weather was really nice. And we went up in the tallest tower in South America. And you could see all the way to the Andes, which it's not all that. I mean, it is far, but it's just that the atmosphere was really good for it. So these are all buildings and houses and high rises and apartments and all that kind of stuff of the city, and those are the Andes behind. That was kind of fun to paint. That was immense. Then on the 19th, it was envelope or envelop. I went with envelop, and there is a video on this painting. I decided to paint the fog that was coming down the mountains. We went out we went out for a weekend to Concon from Santiago, and on our way back, I was taking pictures out the window, and I thought it was a neat thing to paint, and it worked perfectly for my clouds enveloping the mountains. And this is Olive. It was on the 20th. And I have a video of this one also. And although I keep calling them grapes because they're purple, but black olives are kind of purpley, and so that was the color at the photo I think I got off Pixabay, and so it's kind of funny. I keep my olives that are aren't grapes, shall we say. And on the 21st, when we were at Concon, they were surfing out in the ocean, and it was so foggy. I don't know how they could see in front of their face. And the waves were just rolling in, and there was a bunch of people out there surfing. And to me, that seemed risky. I'm not that kind of sports person. There's no way I would be comfortable. First of all, I would not be out in the ocean, but definitely not on a surfboard. But it's cool to watch. So that was what I did for Risky. That was the 21st. Now on the 22nd, it was Fragment. And when we were in Ireland, we went to Glendalough, and I took a bunch. That was the first day we were in Ireland. Took a bunch of pictures there. And this was in Glendalough. And it was really, really a cool place to be. And this was kind of the remains of an old chapel or something, church building. I don't know. It was really cool. Didn't have a roof anymore. So I thought that worked for Fragment. And then local. Now, when I was painting this, we happened to be up at our cottage in Canada. And so that was what was local for me. And there we were taking pictures of the sunset, and this canoe just started going by, and it was like, okay, we'll wait till you get in a nice picturesque spot and then take a photo of you. So that was fun. That was for local. Now this is soft. And we went down to Chile to see my new grandbaby. He turned 3 months old while we were down there. And this was one of the pictures. I think I took this one. I don't know. One of us took it. We were all taking pictures all over the place. My sister sent this little soft duck with us, really soft. And he had managed to get a hold of it himself. And I thought that made a nice painting for soft. He's got one head of hair, let me just say. He's a big boy with lots of hair. Okay, the next one was Stitch, and I decided to do a quick little sketch of my sewing machine and what's around it, my old light and my thread and my pins. And I thought that was appropriate because I have a sewing machines in a row. I have 2 sewing machines in a row that are the same ones, and then I have 2 sergers. And one of them I keep black thread in, one I keep white thread in for each kind of machine. And I trade it off if I need to trade off. But a lot of times I can keep the bobbin thread the same color. So there's a whole line of these, but I wasn't going to draw the whole line. So anyway, that was Stitch. This is Belle, and we had this picture. I can't remember who took it. We did a family art challenge during COVID, and this was one of our prompts for that. It was in one of our pictures. We were doing bells or something, and I thought, I did it in pastel last time, so I thought I would give it a whirl in watercolor. Now we have Detour. On our way to the cottage last year, we took a detour and went to this little town, and it was a waterfall, and I wish I could tell you what the name of it is, but I'm trying to remember. So it's the Rock Glen Conservation Area. And I was filming this for recording it for video, but my camera did not record. It said can't record or something, and I didn't realize it. So, oh well. But we took a detour there on the way to the cottage, and it was just beautiful, just dripping with fall color. And I got to play with my new paintbrush in this one again, too. So that was fun. Next one was Time for July 28th. And I have inherited this old clock that my grandpa, I believe, won in some kind of raffle where you had to guess the amount of beans in a jar or something. And so it's a really cool old clock. And I decorate it's on a shelf. And I decorate for Christmas with these springy Santa and Mrs. Claus. And so anyway, that was the photo I had for photo reference. And that's what I used for time. I figured time with the clock, time of day, and as my sister pointed out, holiday time. So I thought it worked. And the next one is Splatter, and I have a video on this one if you would like to watch it. I'll try and link all the ones I have videos of below. And I took this reference shot at the cottage on when we left just a couple week ago, somewhere in there. And person at the end of the road had wildflowers growing in a bed alongside of the road, and I just stopped and snapped a bunch of pictures, and I thought that would be a great thing to splatter, because I started with Frisket masking fluid, and then I splattered with the colors at the end, and splattered with some water, splattered. It was fun. Anyway, if you want to watch that one, you can see exactly what I did. So now we're on to July 30th. And my father-in-law had an old boat whistle off of a freighter. I can't remember the story of how he got it exactly, but they used to take them down. They have whistle blows at a place on the St. Clair River. And they would take it down there to hear the whistle blow. And it was a contest kind of thing. And they, because they had to hook it up to something that could produce enough pressure to actually make the whistle blow. It's not something you can just blow in your living room. You have to hook it up to this whole, I think it's steam. Anyway, and so our brother-in-law and my husband went to a similar thing in 2021 and took the whistle. And that's why it's got that little tag hanging on it. But I thought that would be kind of fun for a whistle, because you don't think of freighter whistles. I thought it was a little different, and I got to use some sparkly paint, which was fun. Then my last one, which is on the piece of paper that I added, you can see right there, my cheat sheet. My last one for Impulse on the 31st was one of my kitties that came to us through a garage sale. We heard there were knitting needles. We went to go check out the knitting needles and came home with the kitten, because I wanted a calico, and there was this little calico, and called my husband and said, what do you think? And he said, well, get her if you want to. Well, that was it. She's about 10 years old now. Actually, I think she might be older than that. I think she might be 11. Anyway, and we have lots and lots of kitties, but and at that time I did not have any calicos. Now I have a lot of tortie shells, torties, a Turby and a Tortie and a long-haired one, and I've had a short-haired one, and so anyway, but that's my little kitty, and she was kind of an impulse. I wouldn't say purchase, because she didn't cost us anything to get, just to keep. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It was fun to do them. I like doing them in this little book because I can do a little tour afterwards, and it's kind of fun to see what everybody else has done. I like to see what other people have done. And two of my sisters participate, so we get to see each other's stuff, and that's kind of fun. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please give me a like, and if you'd like to see more, hit subscribe, and if you want to know when I put up a new one, hit the little bell. I have a thing now where you can buy me a cup of coffee if you want to help contribute to my madness in this artistic endeavor I'm on. And you can also check out my Etsy shop, where I have my cute little monsters like Dino for sale, along with prints of my artwork, some original artwork, and some other little things. My little painted tins, if you've seen other videos of mine that have little painted tins in them, they're at my Etsy shop. So until next time, thanks for watching.